is the Fade 5 Podcast with Brad Evans and Nate Lundy.
Place your bets, you jackwagons, and happy Halloween to you and your little goblins. Brad the Big Noise Evans here, the Great Pumpkin himself, Charlie Brown, a.k.a. Nathaniel Lundy in the house. And this is the Fade 5 Podcast. Download it wherever you get your podcast. Drop us a rating and a review, would you kindly? This All Hallows Eve. Lundy, trick or treat. Are you a full-size candy bar kind of hero?
No, I'm not, because the kids in the neighborhood don't freaking deserve that crap. I'm sorry, they don't. I mean, I've seen them. They're little a-holes. They just, the kids in the neighborhood, they're just out of control. And then I also figure if I have the full-size ones, Brad, then I have to actually police the front porch the entire way, because speaking of the a-holes, in my neighborhood, Brad, we've got some teenagers, both boys and girls, that let's just say are a little lead-footed. And I'm showing my age here. I've got a little get off my lawn rolling here on a Monday, but I don't think they deserve more sugar, because all that's going to do is make them drive even faster through the neighborhood. And I'm convinced one of them is going to come plowing through the front window of my house any day now.
Oh, wow. Hopefully it's not going to happen on Halloween, because crazy stuff does occur on this frightful evening. And with that, let's roll into a little football action tonight. Plenty of costumes probably in the stands. And we got the battle for Ohio, the Bengals and the Browns in Cleveland tonight. So along the scary shores of Lake Erie, the Bengals are laying 3.5. Captain Hook could be in play here with a total of 45. No Jamar Chase for the Bengals, and that may alter their game plan somewhat with the verticality. But, Lundy, what are you feeling here? And Bengals and Browns.
I'll tell you what, the fact that the total has moved from where it opened up at, a little bit of Jamar Chase effect, I would suppose, along with David Njoku, et cetera. Lots of injuries we're dealing with on both sides of the ball here in this AFC North. I think I'm actually going to flip the script a little bit. I with it all the way down by about 2.5 points, because it opened up at about 47.5. I'm actually going to turn around and take the over here. I'm going to say 26-21 for the defending AFC champions. I'll take the Bengals.
Yeah, I might actually go with the home team here. I'm going to go, give me Cleveland, not on the money line. I think, that Captain Hook's going to come into play here. I think the Bengals take this one by 3. So plus 3.5 is what I'm feeling. However, Cincinnati has won 8 of their last 10, stretching back to last year, ATS. However, the Browns 4-1 ATS as a underdog. So take that for whatever it's worth.
Well,
but
And the over, as much as people want to talk about this like smash mouth AFC North, the over under is actually 7-2-1 the last 10 times these guys have played. They've hit the over 7, they've pushed 1. They've only been under twice in the last 10 times that they've played. So as much as people want to try to play this narrative of this, old school, leather helmet NFL, these two teams score when they play each other.
Yeah, it could be a bonanza of points. I totally agree there. So I would take the over as well on that 45. Those books already in the books. Let's cook up some more in today's edition of the Fade 5.
Number 5.
All right, numero 5 on today's list, Joe Mixon. Number of options available for him right now, the player props mark. But the one that really caught my eye, though, is the under on 13.5 yards. Longest run, minus 115 at DraftKings. If you watch Joe Mixon for much of the season, he looks like he's running, through a tar pit. Not really moving a whole lot, not a whole lot of burst in general. He is a workhorse. He is a Clydesdale in this backfield, but he has only done this one time, Lundy, and it was way back in week numero uno against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had a 31-yard gallop in that game. But the highest gallop ever since, 12 yards. That's it in a singular contest. You look at the matchup on paper as well. The Cleveland Browns, have given up 5.01 yards per carry. So there is some susceptibility in the trenches. I just don't feel that he is going to get a big chunk gainer. I think it's going to be a nickel dimer from a contest. A lot of 3 yards and a cloud of dust that he will be enveloped by because he's going to be on the ground as a result. So fade or follow Joe Mixon under 13.5 yards on the longest run, minus 115 at DraftKings.
So if you were watching the video during the open, I was holding up this lovely quarter, this coin, because I believe there's quite a few props as well as we talked about the spread. We talked about that. I believe you could probably have more luck flipping a coin today than you could listening to Brad and I. I'm just throwing that out there. I think this is one of those games that's hard. I actually think you want to talk about me getting really specific, Brad. I think you're going to get hooked on this one. I'm going to fade you. Ooh. I say he goes longest at 14. I think he gets just up over this number. I recognize that he hasn't done it in quite a while, but for whatever reason, little TYG special, trust your gut. I think he gets just barely over this number, and I think it happens early in the game, and I think you're going to get hooked. So I am fading you on this particular prop for Joe Mixon.
Captain Hook, I implore you to visit Nathaniel Lundy's house this Halloween.
Number 4.
All right, let's work in a little rush yard prop here on a quarterback. And I think the brisket is going to taste mighty fine. It's ultra juicy. It's been on the slow cooker for hours on end. Jacoby Brissett gave me the over on 11.5 rush yards, minus 115 at MGM. He is what I call a power sneaker. I don't know if you've seen him, Lundy. He is maybe the best of business at the quarterback sneaks, and he doesn't get like 1 yard or a half a yard. He gets like 5 or 6 yards on these sneaks. It's kind of ridiculous behind this robust and rigid offensive line of the Cleveland Browns. He's averaging 3.6 attempts per game, 18.6 rush yards per game. He's been over this in 4 of 7 matchups. Now you look at Cincinnati, only 2, just 2. Quarterbacks have gone over this total. Lamar Jackson, of course, he went for 58, and Marcus Mariota ran for 31. Now, those guys have far more mobility than Jacoby Brissett, who has some tortoise-like tendencies, but he is a big-bodied guy. He is unafraid of, splashing and dashing when given the opportunity, and I think it's going to be a cannonball into the old pool if you take the over, and that's where I stand on the 11.5 rush yards, minus 115 at BetMGM. Fade or follow.
Yes, I love this one. Now, this one, I do not believe you're going to come anywhere near the hook on. Brad, I think he's going to push 20 plus. I just think he's going to scramble around a little bit. He's got some opportunities. Again, we're talking injuries on both sides here. There's injuries on the defensive line. There's lots of opportunities for him to be able to scramble, and he's got absolutely no problem doing it. And frankly, with the way they can line up that offense, with the threats coming out of the backfield, you've got the linemen, you've got the linebackers that are going to have to worry about the running backs, which means you've got an opportunity for him to go boop, boop, sneak it right out to the side. So I like this one. That's actually the sound he makes too. Boop, boop. So I like this one, and I think he smashes this number, to be honest with you.
3 rushes. That's all I need, Jacoby.
Number 3.
All right, let's get an anytime touchdown spike tonight. And I think who does it is a tight end for the Cincinnati Bengals and Hayden Hurst. So give me an anytime touchdown at plus 250. Best odds in the business right now at FanDuel. And that is a very attractive and enticing number, and for good reason. Again, no Jamar Chase, who's out with that hip setback, though he was not placed on injured reserve, so could be back sooner than most of us expected. Yeah, Cleveland's only given up 1 touchdown to the tight end position this season, but they're also surrendering 46.0 yards per game to TEs. Hurst, who's averaging 5.6 targets per game, he is top 3 in routes run for a tight end at 29.9 per game, and he has seen 7 red zone targets. That's top 6 at the position. So he has a featured role when Joe Burrow is driving down the field and inside the 20-yard line. So again, I know how Cleveland has been unrelenting to plus-size targets in this category, but Hurst, I believe, doubles it up, son, and gets numero dos in the touchdown category for a tight end against the Cleveland Brownies this year. So plus 250, count me in. Lundy, fade or follow.
I like the odds in this one. It's kind of hard to predict in what some have said would be a low-scoring game. I've already told you that I'm on the over now that it's moved the way that it has. But some of these primetime games, it's been hard to do because there haven't been a lot of touchdowns Yeah, it's sucked. It's been awful. So with that in mind, if I can find some really solid plus odds like this on a plus size target, I will take it with Hayden Hurst. And again, I know I'm a broken record here, but this comes down to the fact that we're dealing with so many injuries that I think you need to look away from the beaten path for your opportunities for an anytime touchdown. Remember, I know this is the best odds here are at FanDuel, but remember over at BetMGM, they do the primetime game guarantee. If you place the bet on who's going to score the first touchdown, if it doesn't happen, you get your bet back as a free bet. So I've known some people that have taken some flyers on these because, they kind of look at it like, why not? I'm going to get my 25 back if it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So Hayden Hurst would be the kind of guy that you could roll with. And by the way, just to throw it out there, Hayden Hurst to score the first touchdown, Brad, plus 1,000.
Oh, that's very sexy. You're naughty, Mr. Lundy.
Number 2.
All right, let's go off the beaten path with a player prop you're not even remotely thinking about. And this one is kind of hidden in the shadows, and I like it quite a bit as a result. Not a whole lot of movement, and I doubt the action's going to be rather significant on it, but accepting out of my wallet, to be honest with you. And I'm going to take the over on Samaje Perine. He won't be dribbling down the leg for me tonight in receiving yards, and that over is on 10.5 receiving yards, minus 115 at BetMGM. I mean, look at Perine. He has done this in 4 of 6 contests this season. He's averaging just 10 routes run per game. Doesn't get a ton of action, but typically when he's on the field, he is featured in some role, and it's normally as a pass catcher. He's averaging 8.1 yards per reception. That's number 11 among eligible running backs. He is number 10 in yards per route run among RBs as well. 7 dudes have gone over this total against the Cleveland Browns this season. And, I mentioned that they're giving up a decent amount on the ground of pass catching running backs. In fact, they're giving up 4.0 receptions per game, 26.7 yards per game. Without Chase, hey, the targets can't all go to T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd or Hayden Hurst. So Perine, maybe on a couple of catches. Hell, they could do this in a single play payday kind of way, which I will most definitely take on that over 10.5 receiving yards, minus 115 at BetMGM. Lundy, fade or follow.
Well, you're trying to repeat what we did on Friday with David Montgomery with the one and done on the 7.5.
Mandatory!
Which actually did hit. Obviously, his first catch was for 9 yards. His second one was for 0, which had me really nervous that we were going to go backwards, but we wound up okay as he finished well above that 7.5 number. So you're looking for the same kind of thing here. I'm with you. I like T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd tonight. I just do. I think both of these guys are going to wind up with good games. I think they already had a good rapport with their quarterback. So the fact that the number 1 goes down, those 2 guys step up, and I think they're both going to get the looks from Joe Burrow, despite the fact that there's a lot of options out there. But because there's options, this to me is a one and done. This is a 1 catch for 13 yards. Take it to the bank. That's what I think happens tonight. Take the over.
Yeah, Perine. He'll be your friend.
Number 1.
All right, numero uno. I just mentioned him on the podcast. It only feels appropriate that we throw together an OGP, and are you with me? Lundy on this one. T. Higgins, 5+ receptions, and also 75+ yards. So let's synergize, correlate, bring it all together. Minus 105. So we didn't get quite to plus numbers here, but a very light juice at BetMGM on this 2-leg OGP. Again, without Jamar Chase in the lineup, that's 10.6 targets per game up for grabs. And I think a lot of that is going to filter to Higgins as a result. A guy who consistently is getting over 75 yards in a game. As a matter of fact, this season, he has done it 3 times. And also, he had 6 for 71 in one game, so that was just shy on this 2-legger. They had 5 and 93 in week 3 against the Jets, 7 for 124 against Miami, and then last week against the ATL, 7 targets, 5 receptions, and 93 yards. He's a guy that usually gets a fair amount of chunk gains working across the middle of the field on some of those slant and post routes. I think he's got to be front and center tonight. Why? You look at his primary assignment, projected primary assignment. It's Greedy Williams, who is, when he's been in the lineup this season, is giving up a 135.4 passer rating to his assignments. And by the way, Chase, when targeted by Joe Burrow this season, has posted a quite handsome 116.4 passer rating. So all the evidence you need to solve this crime. Lundy, fade or follow. T. Higgins on OGP, 5+ catches, 75+ yards, -105 at BetMGM.
We were talking about the large versus the small candy bars at the beginning. Brad, I'm starting to feel a little greedy. I like this one, but I think I'm going to need to find another leg to add to it. I think I got to get to the plus odds, man. Doesn't have to be a lot. It's okay. I'm okay with just getting to like plus 115, plus 120. I don't need the big time same game parlays. Hit a couple of those yesterday, thankfully. Thanks for my bankroll. Oh, thank you, betting gods, that I hit a couple of those yesterday, because damn it, did we need it. So I might try to sprinkle something else in there. I like this as a base. I think this is a really solid base, but just like trying to make yourself a nice gumbo, like the base is okay. I just want to sprinkle a little extra in there. So more than likely, I'm going to probably try to find something else to add to this, but I love it as a good starting point.
Oh, what a coincidence. You might be able to find another leg here to add to that parlay to make it a 3-layer and get it at plus money, you greedy son of a biscuit. It's bonus time, Lundy. Maybe go cross sport on that parlay. What else do you like?
Son of a biscuit. I mean, Brad, we're on the internet. You can say whatever the hell you want, dude.
Female dog.
I don't know why you're being. I don't know why.
I'm doing it for the kids, Lundy. The kids need to gamble.
Yeah, well, let's not encourage them, shall we? They're already going to be all hopped up on sugar tonight. Let's try not to add any more to it. I'll be sitting there on the porch here at Casa de Lundy with the bowl of candy next to me, and I haven't quite figured out what adult beverage it will be in my left hand, but I will most definitely have the beverage rolling as the parents come rolling up, and I feel their pain because my children are now old enough that they can just go out and trick or treat on their own. Like, I don't need to chaperone them anymore. They can just go have some fun. So I'll be sitting there on the porch. Let me give you one extra bonus time here on the Monday night game. It's a really simple one, and I know this is a popular bet, but I'm going to play it anyway. I'm taking the over on 23.5 for the longest reception for Mr. Tyler Boyd for tonight. I like him on his over at 23.5. Just kind of a gut feel. Cleveland misses a tackle and he turns something that should be 15 or 16 into 25 or 26. So I'm playing the over on that. But let me give you some plays in World Series, Brad. Baseball action coming up tonight for you. Let me give you a couple of them. I like Kyle Tucker to go over 1.5 total bases tonight. You can get that at plus 130 at DraftKings. Part of the reason why, obviously, a massive game one that he had going 3 for 5 with the 2-round trippers, but he went 0 for 3 with a walk in game 2. And I'm just a believer that those sorts of things bounce back on a guy like Kyle Tucker. So I'm going to take the over on his total bases, especially at plus odds. If you really want to get crazy with the cheese whiz, he's plus 165 for an RBI. However, speaking of runs, how about Jeremy Pena to score a run? Give me that one at plus 115. He has scored a run in one or more in 7 of the 9 postseason games. Folks, that's a trend, okay? He's done it in 3. He's done it in 7 out of the 9 postseason games. So I will take plus odds for Jeremy Pena to touch home plate. And then one of the very simple, much like you, except I got into the plus odds, very simple same game parlay for tonight in the World Series. Give me the over on 6.5 for the total runs. The standard line is at 8, so I'm backing that down to 6.5. And give me the Phillies plus 2.5. All I need them to do is keep it close, even if they manage to lose game 3. So you do Phillies plus 2.5. You do over 6.5 on the total runs. That's a plus 125 at DK.
Oh, I like it. You're selling me strong. Let me sell you on this one. I'm going to take the over on Cade York. A few goals made tonight. Plus 135 at DraftKings. And, of course, the standard line here is 1.5. Cade York has done this in 4 or 7 games this season. He's 13 for 16 as a kicker. That's 81.3% on that field goal percentage. And place kickers against the Cincinnati Bengals have made 2 or more field goals in 6 of 7 contests. And again, you're getting a plus 135 right now at DraftKings. How about a parlay party? Give me Cleveland plus 7.5. So you take that up from the 3.5 line. Build in a little cushion there. Get me rub-a-dub-dub Nick Chubb. The Chubb Club's going to be open on All Hallows Eve. He's going to score a touchdown. And give me T. Higgins, as I mentioned, already with, part of the top prop today. 5+ receptions. Uno, dos, tres on that 3-legger. You're looking at plus 225 right now at BetMGM. So if you like some parlay action on that OGP, come with me. I think it's going to cash and cash handsomely. And the other 2-legger that I got, Nick Chubb, 70+ rush yards. Joe Mixon, 20+ receiving yards. I put that together. It's plus 130. Also at BetMGM. Chubb, your league leader right now in missed tackles force of 47 at the running back position, also number 6 in yards after contact per attempt. Cincinnati has given up 81.8 rush yards per game, but he's going to be a centerpiece of this offense, as he always is. He's been over in 6 of 7. Mixon, meanwhile, has been over 20 receiving in 4 of 7 games. He's averaging 22.9 routes run among running backs, the 3rd highest mark among RBs. So I think he'll do just enough in that capacity to pay the over on this OGP. Let's go to the NBA, and I got 2 for you there. Give me Keegan Murray over 16.5 points. Unlike Paolo Banchero, the books have yet to adjust to his player props. Typically right around 15.5, 16.5. And against Charlotte, I think he's going to be able to get it done. I know the Hornets have been outstanding in 6 games defensively. They're actually number 1 in the NBA in 3-point percentage defense. But I think that is more or less an anomaly. They're not going to give up 28.2%, I believe, all season long. But you look at Murray. He's done this in every game this season, 19, 16, 18, and 22. He's taking 13 shots per game. He's shooting 41.9% from 3, and it's not like he's taking just a couple of threes a game. He's taking 7 on average per contest, so I think it's over 16.5 points. And then the other one I really like tonight is Brook Lopez over 5.5 rebounds. A lot of that was in Detroit, as you know, at the MGM Grand there, and I also saw a Pistons game live. They don't rebound worth a crap, the Pistons, and they're one of the worst in the NBA as a result. 5th worst, as a matter of fact. And opponent rebounds per game at 48.1. Lopez is playing well north of 30 minutes per contest, and he has done this in 3 consecutive games, gone 6, 11, and 6 rebounds. Knowing, too, that Detroit, bottom 3rd in adjusted offensive efficiency, could be some clangers and land in the soft hands, the former Stanford Cardinals. So give me Brook Lopez over 5.5 rebounds. I know it's juiced up at some of the books that are out there. If you want to reduce the juice, maybe get seduced by that juice, take that with the money line on the Bucks, and you get it down to like minus 110, minus 105. Not quite to plus territory, but at least you take out the 150 or 160 this prop is at some of the books currently. All right, I am out of stinking time because I'm out of stinking picks, and so is Lundy as well. Do us a favor and drop us a rating and a review if you enjoy this podcast, and follow us on the Twitter. Check out Lundy's free picks. He's got his NFL spreadsheet live and open at all times. At Nate Lundy, I do the exact same exercise as well. At Noisy Huevos. And as always, until next time, feed or follow. That is up to you.